All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening and greetings, Dhamma greetings to all of you. Welcome to our bi-weekly Sutta discussion with the Venerable monks and nuns from North America. Before I introduce our participating monks to you, let us pay our respect and homage to the Buddha. Let's recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I pay my respect and homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Okay, so I hope all of you are doing well. And I know it's very hot in the United States. I hope all of you are keeping yourself very cool and calm, staying inside. And I want all our venerable monks and nuns and lay people to stay safe. So before we get into the discussion regarding today's topic, I would like to introduce our venerable monks to our audience. So today we have Bhante Yoga Vacharahula joining the discussion from Washington, D.C. And then, of course, Bhante Rahula, we missed you in last couple of discussions. Very happy to have you for today's discussion. And then we have Venerable, the Most Venerable Bhante Katugastuta Uparatana Nayaka Hamadru. He is also joining from Washington, D.C. And then we have Venerable Shanta Sobana joining the discussion from Los Angeles. And then we have Bhante Kusala joining the discussion from Boston, United States. And then we have Bhante Jinananda joining the discussion from Ottawa, Canada. And then we have Bhante Pesala, who is joining the discussion all the way from Sri Lanka. Very early morning for you. And I would like to respectfully welcome all of you to today's bi-weekly Sutra discussion. I also would like to give a warm welcome to our lay devotees who are here in the Zoom platform and also who are watching this program on YouTube and Facebook Live. And I have a very kind request for all of you and the venerable monks and also the lay devotees. If you would like, please share this program in your social media timeline. I think it would be good for your friends and colleagues, even your family members, to listen to this discussion and also get to know the insights of the venerable monks. So today, our topic of the discussion is artificial intelligence, AI, and ChatGPT, pros and cons of technology and precious Dhamma teachings. Last time we had a bit of discussion about this, and there was a great interest in this topic, and some venerable monks and also the lay people suggested me that we discuss about this topic today. So this is going to be an open discussion. Nobody may have the right answer or perspective or view, but we are here to freely express our ideas, our views, our perspectives, and see how we look at this new technology, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and of course, there are monks. And there are a lot of people around the world now who are using this ChatGPT to do their assignments, even to write something. And then there are also people who this is going to make people very dumb, not intelligent. So even I have seen a kind of app. It's called Gita GPT. I don't know whether you have seen it. So there is a conversation going on. We also should have the Buddha GPT or something like that. Ask the Buddha, something like that. Or Tripitaka or Tripitaka GPT and ask the monks, something like that. So those who were so keen talking about this topic today, they are not here yet, but hopefully they will be able to join us later. But I would like to begin today's discussion with Bhante Yogavachar Rahula from Washington, D.C. Bhante Rahula, what do you think of this new technology, artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, pros and cons, and Precious Dhamma teaching?
Well, thank you for having this program, and it is an interesting topic. But just as a tiny little correction, I'm living in Maryland. My
Maryland, okay.
About 30 miles from Washington.
Okay.
But that's not important. Yeah, this topic. Well, I always have been saying, or I would say that rather than developing artificial intelligence, people should develop natural intelligence. That means, of course, developing their mind and being able to perceive the deeper truths, such as the Buddha did. But of course, not everyone is going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I had a friend who lives here with me, and just for a little kind of a game, just a test, he put into this ChatGPT a question about how to attain enlightenment. This was just to see what it would say. And so what it gave was, whatever, it only knows what has been fed into the computers over, the course of so many years, but it came up with, a kind of an amalgamation of probably mostly Mahayana ideas, but some Theravada ideas too about of course, following the Eightfold Path and developing Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, but the basic things that we all know. So like for a paper, if somebody was going to write a paper, a general paper, for a school or something else, of course, it's better to do the research yourself, like I had to do. I got my interest in Buddhism in 1971, and I had to write a paper on it, and there was only 4 books in the whole library, of a mid-sized American city and at that time. So, but anyway, so for academics and things like that, it probably is of some use, but of course it's good, as you mentioned, or somebody mentioned, it's gonna make people kind of dumber in a sense that they're not gonna have the knowledge of how to look for this material themselves. And in looking for material, doing research by looking through suttas and many other sources, of course, your understanding is going to be a lot better than if you just downloaded already a kind of a paper, produced by this kind of a format. But anyway, that's just one aspect of that.
Yeah.
But I would say that, people worry, is it gonna, are people gonna get a wrong idea about Buddhism and so on? And but for anybody who really wants to go deeper in the teaching, sure, they might be able to get a good understanding of the teaching, even of meditation, but it's not a matter of just understanding, as we all know, it's a matter of practice, right? And a person could have the highest intellect on the different aspects of meditation, but if they haven't meditated themselves and gained sufficient, experience in deeper levels of meditation, then, they're not going to be able to explain intricacies and understanding the mind as a person who has that deeper experience. So, I don't think it's going to supplant, uh, people's practice of the Dhamma. I'm not worried about it in that sense, but of course, there's many other misuses of this that have been, are being discussed in other forums. Uh, but so that's just as a introductory,
Yeah.
something to start the discussion. That's what would be my input on it right now.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante Rahula. I think I really love how you said it should be, instead of artificial intelligence, it should be natural intelligence. So it should be coming automatically, naturally through the practice. So we don't have any the particular questions or format, but I would like all our venerable monks to speak up. If you like to speak up and share your view, please raise your hand. And I see Bhante Kusala from Boston raised his hand. Bhante Kusala, what do you think?
Thank you, Bhante. Namami Sangham. So this on the 60th Zoom Sutra discussion, we came to this very interesting subject.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, everyone is talking about it, but some people don't know what it is. And so it's always like this when something new is being introduced. There's a group of people that says, no, we embrace it. Some others who don't know anything about it, but somehow want to know or adapt to it. Like Bhante Rahula said, do your own paper writing yourself, do your research.
Mm.
But teenagers who want to do it with artificial intelligence will ask that maths question or science question from ChatGPT, and the answer will come out sometimes better than the answer that you were going to write.
Mm.
And this means when you, instead of going to the doctor, you can upload a picture and ask, what is this? And I think we've already had this kind of technology around us. We can do a reverse image search on Google, and image source will appear, and you can tell if it is really of someone or if it was taken from internet, where it came from, and if it is a fake story, you can tell. So there was all these resources outside, and we cannot stop them coming together and creating a kind of intelligence. It may not be so accurate. Like I have GPT on my phone, and I asked what is Noble Eightfold Path. And like Bhante Rahula asked that, what is enlightenment? So it gives the answer, but we see our human experience is somewhat ahead of the chat GPT in terms of the knowledge that it gives.
Mm.
For example, it talks about one-pointedness, which is not so accurate in terms of my understanding about when talking about samadhi, unification of mind. So there can be these differences of the answers, because it's not an actual human with understanding answering this question. But if you ask a direct medical question, it's amazing, astonishingly amazing, that it gives a better answer than sometimes a normal doctor would remember to give, because humans have this limiting capacity in terms of processing memory and giving an answer to someone. So it's going to, therefore people have this fear that it will replace many jobs in the future: nursing, computer coding, medical jobs, pharmaceutical kind of jobs. So there is this currency conversion, currency will change, it will take a different form. And somehow there's this fear that, learn artificial intelligence and learn to replace your job. Before it replaces you in your job, learn to use it. And maybe you do several jobs at home when you work from home, not just one, because you have now mastered artificial intelligence and ChatGPT and the tools, how to use them. So you don't face a hard drop, hard fall in the technology. But if it is replacing your job, and compare that with people who say, I am busy, I don't have time for meditation. So if it is replacing your job and if it does your job faster, now you have this time.
mm,
That means you can use that time for greater goodness, meditation. Therefore, I see that ChatGPT and artificial intelligence can somehow help people, and it can also improve our overall health, wellness, psychological well-being. And you can have a conversation with artificial intelligence like you are having with a normal person. We have Alexa around, and it can already open, windows and lock doors, uh, and it can also contain many sensitive data, and it may expose secrets of people. So governments may somehow put limits to what information should be allowed for public and what should be controlled. And I think when we know some of the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha has already said, Atta Deepa Viharata Bhikkhave, make yourself an island. You make yourself an intelligent person helping you, uh, continuing your progress through your own intelligence. So I see that it's part of our human challenges that we face these, and we use that challenge to overcome anything that may be bothering us. But I like to also remind us that sometimes human lifespan can increase. As in the Chakravarti Sihanada Sutta, it says in the past some human beings were able to live 80,000 years.
mm,
And is it a time that they had artificial intelligence, that people had less worries and that they had only few concerns? But I see that we also have this worry and fear that we are getting declined and our lifespan will be 10 years and everything will happen within that time. And can artificial intelligence come and help us? And if we put anything into good use, like nuclear power is put into good use, electricity is put into good use, and I think humans still need to make that decision. And someone asked Einstein once, what will there be a third world war? And he said, I don't know whether there will be a third world war and what they will use, but I can surely tell when there is a fourth world war, they only will use sticks and stones, because any tool they use have been so destructive that people are left with sticks and stone. And that is very destructive way of using um, any intelligence, any scientific development, not for the betterment of humanity, but for destruction of humanity.
mm,
So I trust that, we monks also need to use ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. Like Bante said, there will be Tipitaka ChatGPT, and like internet has all the sutras now. So we have this amazing ability to, I don't know, Buddhism has this amazing ability to adapt to any new environment, because Dhamma is akalika. It has a value in all the times. Like the other day when I asked Bhante Ji, what is your latest definition of mindfulness? He said, there's no latest definition of mindfulness. It's just Dhamma is akalika. It has its value and it doesn't change. So just like that, we will see in the near future what changes are happening. There will be people complaining about things, but also humans have this amazing ability to adapt to new environments and survive. So I trust that that will be enough for now. I'd like to listen to other venerables to hear what they have to say. Thank
Yeah,
you, Bhante.
thank you, Bhante Kusala, for sharing your opinion. And I think, of course, we can always follow the key advice given by the Buddha in the first sermon, right? Majjhima Patipada. Even I think if we use the ChatGPT too much, that could be an extreme and harmful. And also maybe if we try to rely on this a lot, that could be even I asked this question, what from this ChatGPT, what is ChatGPT, and of course it gives all kinds of details, but in one passage it says, it generates responses based on statistical patterns learned during training, and its output is not always accurate or reliable. So it's essential to verify and critically evaluate the information provided by the model. So even this new technology is also giving us a warning, don't think this is 100% accurate or reliable. So, but I think the danger could be if we try to completely rely on this, then are we going to, let's say I ask a question about, as Bhante Rahul asked, what is enlightenment? Maybe it's generating the whatever the information is available in the internet, based on a lot of writings done by any tradition. But how about this enlightenment described by the Buddha himself or the enlightened disciples of the Buddha in those Thera Gatha? So now the question could be, are we going to, if we heavily rely on this technology, are we going to lose the essence of the Buddha's teaching in the future? So this is just a question, I don't know. So so here I see Venerable Shanta Sobana raising his hand. Venerable Shanta Sobana from Los Angeles, what's in your mind?
Thank you very much, Venerable Sirs. And I think this is one of the very best topic. Thank you so much bringing this up. And because when this ChatGPT introduced, after that there were many discussions, and this is the only discussion keep going around monks related to the Buddhism. There were many other conversations happens related to Buddhism, but not with the monks. So this is going to be very important. At the same time, understood through this all learning, this is the one of the best the gift that human consciousness created to humanity. And this is going to be a huge shift from ordinary life to our deeper spiritual life. And so I think this is kind of like a turning point when it comes to our spirit, the human history. We went through many changes like that in the human history time to time. Like as an example, when people found out the fire and the iron and the explosive, so and the machines. So in this way, this is one of the turning point when it comes to human history, because this will give us opportunity to make a lot of barriers through this existence, knowingly or unknowingly. Even in the spiritual life and ordinary life, people build up many kind of hierarchies related to the knowledge. And when we go into the Buddha's time, and all the Brahman also did the same thing. So Buddha is the one who the break down that all the barriers related to the wisdom. So ChatGPT is a kind of like an artificial Buddha, because it breaks all the barriers, all the hierarchies, and all the patterns and methods, and allow anybody to access to the depth of the information. And so if so when it comes to this, and this actually this ChatGPT and Lambda introduced by the Google, this both came a few months ago. But this system used to be like before 2017, and this discussion happened. But this ChatGPT accelerate this method around the society, and because this I think overnight, a lot of people start to download this app, and then start to use it. That is how everybody start to talk about this. What this is actually, when it comes to ChatGPT, it's a kind of like a generative train transformer. So that means it all use past experience, and it's kind of like the blood is the data. The data is the blood for this machine. Without the past information, it cannot run. But what is the danger behind this? Actually, it is not about this informative, the barrier, or it is not about this information. That by the time this artificial intelligence creating some kind of machines now, they are capable to take decisions without any kind of guidelines. So that's going to become a kind of like a danger for everybody, because as we know that it always that it can happen the machine's error. Just as example, that missile defense system. So it is important to have in nowadays, and most of the countries have it. But if just the machines run the system, in case if the machines recognize something wrong way, maybe it can start to react to that system. So in that way, it can happen any kind of like take us to a disaster. And at the same time, when it comes to pharmaceutical industry and the bank system, so those kind of things have a great challenge now. Why? Because they build up a certain kind of authority, keeping the certain kind of information. As example, sometimes doctors give some kind of medicine and the patient doesn't know what it is. But now when the patient have the medicine, and he also, that the person independently can search about all the details, and he can take its own decision regarding that medicine. So then the doctor having a challenge about it, because sometimes the doctor doesn't want to know the exactly side effects or the whatever the cause and effect related to that medicine. But if the patient know about it, then the doctor going to have some kind of difficulty. So, and at the same time, when it comes to how this can relate it to Buddhism, because when it comes to our fundamental human ethics, being truthful is one of the major important foundation to our spiritual development. So with these machines and technology, with ChatGPT, and we can't cheat, we can't tell lies. So then, so as example, nowadays, this already, we depend on machine. So as example, now I'm talking to this, all the monks and all the listeners. So am I talking to computer or am I talking to monks? So then if I just forget the computer and think, oh, I'm talking to monks, but this computer deeply collect all the information. And then after this session, that anybody can record it and anybody can preserve that all the information and keep it. So in case if I say something unethical and I am responsible for that. So that's why nowadays that whatever happened, if the police or if anyone want to investigate about somebody, what they take, they maybe not go behind the person now. They go behind the cell phone, because that all the information is collected by that machine. So then mostly when we use our environment, all this consumer product and everything, now we have to be more responsible regarding to be truthful. So that is something beneficial for ourselves and for others. And at the same time, that when it comes to the Buddhism, it has a different categories, as we know, cultural part and study. And when it comes to universities, Buddhism people study in according to different categories, and the historical part. And at the same time, finally, when it comes to the ultimate goal is self-realization. So when it comes to that, it's not depend on the past experience. That's why the very famous quote is Atitang nanu sochanti nappa jappanti nagata. So we can't depend on the past or the future informations. So, and before this all what the Buddha said, of course, this conventional life itself is an illusion. So this is the more higher version of that illusion, nothing else. So when it comes to our the Buddha's teaching, that of course this world always keep moving forward and no one can stop it. It day by day going to become more accelerated and bringing more other new things. This is just only one part of it. But when it comes to Buddhism, fundamentally, we are deeply related to 5 aggregates. That is what finally what the world means: form, feeling, perception, and volition and recognition. So it's all depend on, as Venerable Bhante Rahula mentioned, it's all depend on our deeper practice and according to our own understanding. But the information is very necessary. So what the good thing with this ChatGPT and all this artificial intelligence, it's give us access, the accessibility, and anybody can access. As example, that if anybody want to know about any words or the sutra, because the knowledge is important when we go towards the wisdom, we can't drop it. So then, as example, if we want to know about the sutra or maybe to know about the word or the meaning, so anybody can have the accessibility from anywhere. So that is good. And at the same time, that it always, it's a personalized guidance you can gain. No one can interrupt, and just by yourself, again and again and again, you can go towards it. And other thing is that the informations is not anymore can keep the hierarchy related to the religion or the nation or the culture or the tradition, because we have deeper hierarchy like that. And sometimes people follow, oh, this is only for these people, or you can't gain this information, you have to achieve to this to gain this. So like that, we have a hierarchy. But good thing is, in the spiritual path, there is anymore no that hierarchy. It's all available there. But at the same time, when we understand all the negative part, what we can do, as all in our human history, what we done, when any kind of danger come to us, we are capable to find a solution for that. That is the beauty of the human consciousness. So the very danger of this, the losing the human connection, because as example, when it comes to Theravada tradition, that we follow the elders' word, and we always follow, we go behind the teacher. We need the gathering of the Sangha. And so So the ChatGPT have a great challenge to continue that kind of connection, because it can disconnect the people. So then once we know that, we have to always keep that human connection. Another thing is that sometimes some people can put misinterpretation or the misinformations to the system, then by the time it become real. So that's why as the educated monks, whoever the elder monks, they are responsible for now to be mindful regarding what are the informations that already have in this ChatGPT. If it is not right, I think this is a very good moment, because it is just a starting. Give all the right informations to the system. Why? Because in the future, it's going to be there.
Yeah.
In this very moment, like within another 2-3 years, if the monk didn't do that, most of the lay people, whoever giving some introduction about the meditation or the enlightenment, and then that thing's going to pop up right away. And so then we can't blame to the system, because we didn't put the right information. So that's why it is important. And another thing is that when it comes to deeper understanding, having the real conversation, person to person, giving us ability to find the right solutions. So that is what during the Buddha's time, whoever came to Buddha, most of time we see Buddha had the conversations with people. So it gives a deeper ability to go and recognize that what other person try to tell. But in this ChatGPT, it doesn't have that kind of ability, because whatever the question we ask, according to that, it gives the answer. That's it. So, and the other part is this ethical concern, because how much we are truthful to know what is right, and at the same time, how much we know that whatever the information is right. So that's why it's always, when it comes to end of the day, that our personal experience is the most important part. So we can't deny this, all the ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, but at the same time, we are capable to use it to gain the most benefit out of this. And finally, I want to mention that nowadays, why this most of people afraid about losing the job and the collapsing economy. And that is good, because that illusion need to break down. That is the very core essence of the Buddha's teaching. People now think they're born to work. No. And they forget their whole life. They just keep working. You know. So once they lose the job, they will understand what they have a different lives. And other thing that caught up in the information and going with this hierarchy, believing and worshipping, is it need to break down. So if the human doesn't do, this is another version of the human consciousness, it will come through the machines. It should happen. So this is the very brand new result of all our human consciousness. If the human consciousness doesn't want it, it's not there. So it is there means we need it. Only thing is how we can get best out of it and how we become the best version of us. So that is my thought.
You know, no, Venerable Shanta Sobana, you have shared a lot of insights regarding this topic today. And also, like, you know, whatever the information is being created by this ChatGPT, and of course we can go through it, and then again, according to the teachings of the Buddha, like one advice given, Buddha said he gives an open invitation. Ehi come and see, right? So anyone can read this and see whether it is in line with the teachings of the Buddha found in the earliest the sutras, like in the Tipitakas. So I think the ChatGPT is also in line with Buddha's the one advice given to the monks is Tathagata Pavedito Dhammavina Vivato Virochati, no Patichanda. So here maybe the ChatGPT is revealing the teachings of the Buddha from bringing the information from different websites or journals or written by different people. So maybe it's giving us an opportunity to expand our consciousness of mind. Maybe this is going to help us grow spiritually, but the question could be I also see there's the three steps, pariyatti, patipatti, pativeda. So the learning stage. So we are learning reading these answers generated by the GPT, and then we have to practice. Without practice, the realization cannot come. Pativeda, we cannot go to Pativeda. Maybe this new technology is still up to the first stage. Don't you think so? I don't know. This is a kind of question that I'm asking from everyone. Maybe you just think about this. I see Bhante Jinananda from Ottawa, Canada, raised his hand. Bhante Jinananda, what's in your mind?
Yeah, this is about talking the pros and cons of technology with regard to ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, and so forth.
Yeah.
A lot of ideas are already shared, and I just want to share here some thoughts about this particular new thing, which is still not in full form. Anyway, the question we all should ask whether we use the current things like internet and other apps for the purpose of clearing our mind from impure thoughts and sustain ourselves on the teachings of the Buddha. They are all talking about the tools, the internet and social media and all the devices are only external tools that are helpful for somebody to, traverse through knowledge already, discovered by the Buddha and great disciples and any other person after that, even today. So at the end, we all should come to, do the things individually in our own. I think that the knowledge we have for understanding the truth is quite enough, as you said at last about the three kinds of practice, pariyapti, patipatti, pativeda. So, a lot of information sometimes is a disturbance for enlightenment. I would say that a lot of devices are not taking us to the individual freedom from suffering. With regard to popularizing Dhamma to many people, we can use these devices, but in terms of making ourselves calm and peaceful, we just need only few tips of Dhamma. So when we should be careful in using those devices for the self-realization, and when only we realize something, we can share it with any devices. So unless we realize something and use all the devices all together, how could we find time for our practice? So that we should be careful of all these. And because today's topic is talking about pros and cons, not only advantages of using these devices, but we have to see the other side of it as well. So the reason why I say this, because we use Facebook, WhatsApp, Viber, internet, emails, and cell phone, other devices, so that sometimes we have put ourselves into a kind of complex situation to find the writing of samadhi, writing of wisdom. If we go to many suttas, the Buddha has told clearly that you should be isolated from many things in order to find the right tune of the Dhamma for your benefits and so that you can say something to others. truly, I believe that these are very important devices and innovations, but we have to be careful in using them yeah, because we should protect ourselves and share the good things.
Mm.
So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Bante Janananda. So I know you're absolutely right. You know, of course, technology could complicate our life as well. And if you, you know, go to an extreme, but maybe that could be the very reason why Buddha gave that advice, Majjhima Patipada, follow the middle way. The practice, adopt the concepts, the steps which are needed for our benefit, our own realization of the final goal. So I can see Bante Pesala from Sri Lanka raised his hand. Bante Pesala, what's in your mind?
May my Vandana to all Bantes. Hope I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Bante, this is also very good, very important topic as the Vendors explained.
Yeah.
And here, Bante, this sort of situation when the things like ChatGPT arise, as monks, as disciples, we have a kind of sense that we have a fear that something will affect to the Dhamma. That's why we are discussing this topic. And our great teacher has clearly solved this this kind of matters in the early suttas. I found very beautiful sutta, Bante. I will give the reference after even this matter, this discussion also. Others can refer this sutta. Samyutta Nikaya, chapter number 16, sutta number 13, Saddam Patirupa sutta. So in that sutta, Buddha clearly given the answer to this sort of situations. One time, Venerable Mahakassapa, the third chief disciples of the Buddha, he was the one mostly thought about the existence of the Dhamma, and he was questioning the Buddha after going to the Buddha. Bante, earlier there are very few codes of conduct, very few rules, but there were so many enlightened beings, enlightened monks. But at the latter part here, this thing happened at the last stage of our great teacher. So at the latter part, the Bante Venerable Kassapa is asking from the Buddha. Now there are so many rules, but very less amount of monks are getting enlightened. So the Buddha said, accepting that it is the way it is, Kassapa. It is the way it is. It is the nature of the Dhamma. In the future, as Buddha said, when beings are degenerating, the monks who have degenerated the Dhamma in the future. So because of that, I have to build up so many rules. So that's why, and it's Buddha given the simile that in the first hand, even in this world, if there are only pure gold is available, we don't need to fear about counterfeits. We have to go to the shop and without any fear we can buy gold, we can purchase gold. But when the counterfeits of gold appears, we have to be very careful to select whether the right one, or we have to be very careful. So similarly, in this in the future, like Dhamma, the Asad Dhamma, that means the things which is not true Dhamma, will arise in this world. So people who doesn't have much wisdom, they will be stuck on those the wrong teachings, and they will be stuck in somewhere without practicing the real path. So the Bante also mentioned that it is very important that to the three steps, Pariyatti, Pratipatti and Prativeda. So when most Venerable is talking about Pratipatti and Prativeda, practicing and the results, but more than that, Bante, it is the most important thing is the Pariyatti. Pariyatti means we can practice whatever, but how we should exactly know what the things that we practice, whether it is true or not. So in that case, we have to come into the always these pariyat mean teachings. The practice, whatever the practice we do, if it is not matching with the teachings, then there should be a problem. Actually, when one practices really according to the suttas and the the Dhamma Vinaya, definitely there is no mismatchings. Clearly, we can guide our practices into the liberation. For an example, Bante, if you go from somewhere to somewhere, from point A to point B, suppose there are so many in between the point A and point B, there may be so many signs and marks besides the road. So if you know more marks, more signs, when you go through the path, you can clearly, identify the present location by observing the signs and marks. Similarly, when you have the, kind of knowledge about the pariyatti, it is better, it is easy for us to practice. So by giving that, the Buddha further said, Bante, so when in the future Dhamma will disappear this world because of the counterfeit. So suppose that as the example I said that when the counterfeit gold is there, so we have to be very careful, like we have to clearly observe the gold to identify whether it is good or bad. So similarly, when the this kind of counterfeit Dhamma arise in the world, we have to be very careful whether it is a true Dhamma or true, whether it is a Dhamma or just asat Dhamma. That means the true teachings or not the teaching. So we have to be very careful to verify. So by giving that, Buddha said, further said, it is like when the ship is in the sea, it has given a simile. When the ship is on the sea, ship will sink in the sea not because of the external influences. If a hole created on the hollow of the ship, that is the reason for ship to sink in the sea. Similarly, in this Dhamma, nothing. Dhamma cannot be disturbed by the external influences like ChatGPT or other. This Buddha said, not Dhamma is not disturbed by the earth element, the 4 elements. It is, the Buddha said further, the monks who entered this sasana and who have wrongly understood this Dhamma and who have wrongly practicing, who have wrongly getting the not true liberation. They are the one who just let this Dhamma to disappear, not ChatGPT Bhante. And further Buddha said, in future, disciples enter to this sasana and they don't have respect and honor to the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, and especially the Sikha, I mean the Sila, Samadhi, and Prajna. And finally, the Buddha said, Samadhi, Sikha, and Samadhi. So on these 5 aspects, disciples, not only the monks, both ladies and the monks, doesn't have much respect. So that is the reason of the Dhamma to disappear in this world. So in this sutta, it's clearly explained and clearly given an answer to this question that we discussed, Bhante. And I would like to, invite, and I would like to invite other monks and other disciples to just to go through this sutta, and you can enlighten yourself with this information. And Bhante, that's why we have to be very careful in this nowadays, because if you are not wise enough, suppose the person who doesn't have much money and they can buy counterfeit gold and they can wear themselves by creating jewelries, they can wear and they can be happy like that, I am wearing gold, but actually he's not wearing gold. Similarly, we can practice by going through any kind of teaching, like suppose if I want to listen a Dhamma sermon about Four Noble Truth, and if I put that topic into the ChatGPT, it gives me teachings. Even I can create a fake monk and doing a sermon about Four Noble Truth. I can hear that the Dhamma sermon also, but still, it's not giving the true Dhamma. And so that's why we have to, as disciples, we have to be thoroughly knowledgeable about thoroughly should be knowledge about the dhammas of Buddha's dhamma. That is known as Sutameñana. Sutameñana mean the knowledge that we gain through the pariyatti or the teachings. Then only we can have the Chintamejnana, because we cannot think, we cannot just think on other things. We have to think on the Dhamma. Then when the Sutameñana and the knowledge of the teachings, as well as the Chintamejnana, I mean knowledge of the mind, knowledge of the investigation, both these knowledges together will get the Bhavana Mejnani. That means by having these together only we get the chance of practicing knowledge. It's knowledge of practicing. Then only those by the knowledge of practicing and the Chintamejnani, knowledge of the mind, these things put together, then we'll get the chance of getting the samadhi or the right view. And that's what Bhante I want to explain. So thank you very much for providing me the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Venerable Pesula, for giving that reference. Is Saddhamma Patirupa Sutta. I think if it is possible, can you put that name, and if you have a link in the chat, so that those who are here in the Zoom platform can read the sutta, and also maybe I will be able to share this with the people in the Facebook and YouTube timeline. So as you were talking about this sutta, how Buddha in the 6th century BCE, during his time, he was addressing these concerns. Maybe all of you would remember, since all of you have read the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. In the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, there's a section on the Chattaru Mahapadesa, the 4 great references, like when somebody could assume that, this is what I learned, this is what I heard, these are the teachings of the Buddha. Someone could claim that these are the true teachings of the Buddha. So there, Buddha gives an advice, don't rush, don't just believe in it right away, and you just refer this to the teachings of the sutras, and talk to your elders or the enlightened masters, teachers. Then only you can, after verifying whether these teachings that this person has heard in line with what Buddha taught. I also would like our audience to read this particular section, the 4 great references, the section of the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. I'm just wondering whether our audience would have any questions to ask from the venerable monks about this topic. And this also, how in some websites, in the Buddhist temples website, or even the companies ask a question. Even there's a particular section called Ask the Monk. So maybe this ChatGPT replace that part of asking question from people. Now people don't have to go to Ask the Monk. They can directly ask this ChatGPT. So maybe the people, though people are interested in learning this teaching, they are maybe losing the human connection, having a conversation with the monk. Of course, the people, monks go to the lay people go to the temples to listen to the Dhamma talks delivered by the monks. Now maybe the lay people might be kind of lazy. Okay, I don't need to go there to listen, to learn about these things. Who ask the question? I can directly ask the question from ChatGPT for to get to know the answers to my questions. So maybe this is something to think about. And I see Venerable Shanta Sobana from Los Angeles raised his hand again. What's in your mind?
Thank you very much giving me this opportunity again. And that's true. But at the same time, we have to remember from this moment how we can move forward. So it is already there, and we can't reverse this, and then we have to find a way how we can use this to gain the greater benefit out of it. And at the same time, when it comes to any community of any teaching or any sangha, the development mean there are few ways. So one is that whoever the seniors, they reach to the higher level. But at the same time, the most important part here, the newcomers. So I think this ChatGPT and this artificial intelligence opening a huge window for newcomers to come towards this Buddha's teaching. That is one of the one is the yoga. So it's come from the Hindu tradition. But when people go to yoga, practice yoga, then it's open a window to practice meditation. And when they start to practice meditation, they start to look what is next. So like that, these informations giving a very clear path to get into the Buddha's teaching. So of course, so when it comes to the teachings, and once you enter to the path, there are many ways, and you have to develop it, and it's always depend on your practice. But the important part, how, just imagine somebody there in far away in another country, and he doesn't know anything about this, anything, and maybe just he want to know about life, and he may just put a chat and ask the question, what is the greatest or the highest achievement of the human intellect? So then always ChatGPT going to give you the liberation. So then when it come to that, it open a window. If we go with because it depends on how you ask the question, and according to the question, it give the answers. So the important part here, because sometimes the monks can't go to certain places, and maybe even the Buddha's picture cannot exist in certain countries, as we know. But now in their cell phone, they have the ChatGPT. So that's why it's giving a clear opportunity. And at the same time, when it comes to the present moment of life, that of course our clarity depend on the moment of condition of the mind, but that mind depend on the information. So that's why we go to school, we study, and we need certain kind of conventional knowledge from the beginning as ordinary people to develop our basic life. So for that, I think it gives us more than any other time. It gives us very deep that informations to develop our life and go forward and break the time barrier. The time barrier means because our information, sometimes whatever we know, always need to master and practice and master through and get the experience through the time. It takes time, but now it's not like that. So I think when we go to the very base of the Sanskrit language, and when we go to the history of the English language, the very beginning of these languages, they had that quality. It give the direct, deeper, the clear answer about something, and there is no gap to think. Because this gap to think create all the mess around us. So, and I think this ChatGPT have that ability. Why this became with the machines and technology, why this became more kind of like a question, because in the Western world, the Plato is the one who mentioned that the only living things can move. And then when this material things start to move, people don't want to accept it. So that it's kind of like create a kind of like oh, it's come against us. Oh, it can be against us, because only we can move, only we are the holding this power. But when it comes to the Buddha's teaching, it's totally different. The consciousness or the life and happen not because of the one fundamental reason. And when it comes to deeply, 4 elements: heat, motion, liquidity, and hardness, and another 2 things, consciousness and space. And it's common to each and everything, fundamentally. So when it comes, another thing is that recently in the Western, that the one European country, they had the media conference with all the robots, and they are the one who gave the answers. And people are so concerned about this consciousness and the Buddha's teaching. And there are many ways that the life can happen. And one is the Opa particle. And without any mother or the father, the life can appear. So how about the machines? Maybe if the necessary cause and conditions there, maybe it perform as a person. So it's, I think, according to the religions, and the Buddha's teaching is the only teachings have the space for this artificial intelligence. And rather than closing it, it is our responsibility to open it and make a platform for that to play it.
Yeah, just
not too afraid, not too afraid. And one thing is, our human consciousness has the very nature. When something introduced and when something become more better, we have kind of like the resistance or go against fear. The very good example is this artificial ice. The natural water, when they create this artificial ice, in the beginning, people were so afraid to use that. People didn't accept it. But look at today, in this hot weather in California, everybody use this artificial ice. You know, so like that, it's always like that.
Yeah, as you were talking about this, how it helps the beginners. This reminds me of one of, I'm pretty sure you all also had the same experience, maybe. Like this happened before this creation of ChatGPT. There are a lot of people in the Western world who are seeking the new path, and especially they are seeking the help from Buddhism, and they're reading about Buddhism. Buddhism is a kind of popular faith or religious tradition, and everybody has a good good mind for the teachings of the Buddha. So this family, who was seeking and interested in Buddhist teachings, read something about Buddhism. Then they found me in the Facebook, and they started following my daily stuff. How I put these teachings, a passage from the sutra or a translation from a Dhammapada verse, and so that family, ended up here to experience a session with us, with the group, and this experience led me to go to that small island in the Mediterranean Sea called Corsica and Sardinia. So I think this ChatGPT is giving an opportunity to the people to learn about, maybe the introduction, maybe they are interested in getting to know more about the teachings about Buddhism. So then that's going to make them to go to a center, to see a monk, go to a monk. That's what's happening here now. More people are coming. I'm pretty sure in your cases, no more people are attending your sessions. I know for Bhante Yoga Rahula, there are a lot of people who attend your sessions. So it's because people are seeking information. They also want to have a personal interaction with the monks to learn from them in their presence. So this is a good thing. And I see there's oh, Shamina, maybe you can, you say you have a question. Feel free to ask the questions. Shamina, you can, oh, you have written it. Okay. Okay, let me read this out, okay? This is a question from Shamina. In some helping fields, such as psychology, counseling, and life coaching, there are bots and chat apps being developed to people. So people are getting support and counseling from a computer, answering text questions, or even responding to a person's speech. It may be efficient and even effective, but the service doesn't depend on the help coming from a person. Can you imagine a chatbot available to the public answering questions on your behalf so you can have more time for practice, even if it was well trained in how you would answer yourself? Is there a good side of such a service standing in for a live teacher? So, Bante Yogacha Rahula, would you like to answer that question? You have to unmute yourself, Bante. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
You know, there are people living in remote parts of the world who don't have any direct access to real, you know, teachers. But of course, now with the internet, there are, you know, thousands of, well, maybe not thousands of monks, but thousands of teachers, and, you know, quite a number of monks too that have their own blogs, that have their own Zoom programs, and so anybody with a computer can, you know, attend so many different talks, and they can get teachings without going to, you know, a robot, you know, and so on. So, but you know, in some cases, maybe people who are lonely, or they, you know, some people need, I don't know. People are different, and they have different emotional needs, but you know, there's enough real people out there, and you know, qualified monks and other teachers that people can, you know, contact, and groups, and so many discussion groups out there that, you know, the need for, you know, having a Buddhist robot, you know, teaching Dhamma is not really that necessary.
Yeah.
You know, they're only going to teach whatever they've been programmed. So.
Yeah, but I think maybe you are aware of this in China or Japan. They have robo monks. They give the blessings to the people.
I haven't heard about that. No.
You haven't heard about that?
No.
No.
Peter Newell, the guy.
Yeah, they do the chanting for the lay people. They don't give the blessings, la Pirit Nul, the blessed blessing thread, but they do the chanting prayers for you.
Again, there's certain people that might need that, you know, and certain times it may be useful.
Yeah.
The robot might be able to chant better than some monks, who knows?
But do you think robots can do better chanting than Bhante Uparatana?
No. They probably can't chant better, but they would, anyway, you know, they could go on without getting tired. They could do a whole night pitta chanting, you know.
So again, I think it's both pros and cons, right? If there are no monks available, of course, the robo monks can do the chanting for you. But I think people really love to have the interaction with someone who is real. Maybe this is the artificial monk. Now imagine artificial monks are going to replace all the real monks. What would happen?
You're going to be able to go sit in the lotus posture and give guided meditations to people.
Bante Jirananda from Ottawa, what's in the mind?
Yeah, how about if we have robots for this discussion instead of monks? Lay people. So we can replace Bante Sarapala for a robot and that the discussion. So we know that we don't like it.
Yeah.
We because the Buddha has said that Kalyanamita, the wholesome people should be around us for us to get some emotional support. It's okay for us to use those things for a moment, but at the same time, we are human and we should have human close by.
Mm.
So I think it's so nice that human curiosity is working well for the benefit of people, but there is no guarantee that all the humans use this for something good, something greater. There is the danger of using these things for something unwholesome. To anyway, I am for it, but at the same time, when we analyze the Dhamma, it's all something we see, something we hear, something we sense. With regard to sense restraint and clearing the path to wisdom, whatever devices, app, they are all external objects that made by four elements. And if we can take it into our mind using any device, it's okay, but we have to stand on the proper teaching so that there is nothing harm happen. So that's what I wanted to.
Mm. So there's a kind of suggestion, maybe an idea from another layperson who is watching on Facebook Live, Zheng Tang. She's saying, it's so important to do dana, charity at temples, so monks can get fed and do their work more efficiently and continue get blessing energy different from internet. Okay, thank you. I see Bante Shantasobana.
Yeah, actually, this question this asked by Shamina.
Amina, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, this is the thing. Sometimes there are situations. It is the teacher and the students, the both. Sometimes there are situations come in life. Maybe it is a 1 second. In that 1 second, what you hear, it can change your life. So maybe this is the thing. Why sometimes people more comfortable with this chat applications? Because they build up a trust with the person, and they are deeply kind of like have a relationship, and day by day they have a communication. Why it happened? Because as a human, sometimes we fail to build up the trust in between the humans. So, and at the same time, when someone asks a question, someone around us, sometimes we don't give time for them. So then they go to something else. So it is because this situation, what she asked, it's already there. And people already have kind of like motivational apps and personal training apps and the health guidance apps and meal planning apps. People already follow that. But the thing is, it's not going to become a long-term plan, but sometimes it gives a kind of like idea for them to settle down in that very moment. Or maybe when, as example, there is a person, he get lost in his mind and he want to suicide. So there are many apps now help for them. So right away they have kind of like a conversation directly, kind of like analyzing this person's voice and this person face, and maybe they ask a very few question, and that question, when the person tried to give the answer, it's changed the intention. So maybe in person we can't be there. So in that very moment, that will help for that person. So there were many incidents like that. And but at the same time, end of the day, we have to accept always that as human beings, our development always come out of the human connection.
Yeah,
That's the thing. So, but for that we can make some other many other things as a bridge to bring that humanity, connect each other, and we have to use that the facilities.
Yeah.
Even this,
Yeah.
look, this all the monks from different places.
Yeah.
And today, and we come all together and talk about this. And
Yeah.
behind this Zoom this program, and
Yeah.
it was in the beginning was not this much developed.
Yeah.
And but now it is so advanced to detect a lot of things, and the timeline, and giving more facilities, and day by day they adding more some other applications to this, and it make us more comfortable to keep connect.
Yeah, so it's actually that was the very reason why I took the initiative of starting this Zoom Sutra discussion, to have the friendly conversation with the monks. Now I see I'm receiving a lot of feedbacks from people from different countries, how greatly appreciating this discussion. They are very happy to see us, how we come to one platform and discuss the Dharma. So, and also, I know there are people, let's say recently, a Canadian family who came to me for spiritual counseling. And this person, the husband, the man, lost his wife for 40 years in marriage. So he was suffering since last October. He was going to different, seeking help from others, and also reading online, but nothing helped. So someone told him about our temple and my spiritual counseling. And he came with his friends and family members. And after having one-on-one conversation, that brought him a lot of relief. So that is the power of having this interaction with this is real, seeing the monk, being in the temple, having this conversation. So there is a question, someone, Julie, who is watching on YouTube live. Julie's question is, Dear Venerables, what is your view on whether people will get too shy or intimidated to interact with monks over time, with ChatGPT being available? So what do you think? So, of course, there are people who are shy to interact with monks. I don't know. Bhante, Rahula, do you have anything to say to Julie?
About that particular question, I don't know. It depends on the person. But it could be easier because, they might call up a monk. We're not always available on the spot, to immediately talk to a person. So, it might be more convenient for them to just, they can get instant, contact with a robot, I guess, on certain apps, and talk to. So, whether they might get more comfortable with that over time, or, for whatever other reasons, they may or may not, want to talk with a real monk. But I doubt if, they still probably would. But it's just for the convenience, and they could get used to that. It's easier than trying to, contact a monk.
Yeah, don't be shy to talk to a monk or get intimidated by the monks. Monks are very kind, right? And once you come and talk to them, you would get to know who they really, and then how kindly they talk to you. Even the monk could make you a cup of tea. That's what we do here, For example, I know that every time people talk to the monks, I know all of you, like when people go to Bhante Rahula, Bhante Shantasobana, Bhante Kusala, Bhante Jiranda, Bhante Vesala, and also Bhante Uparatana, with his smile, people find it very pleasant, So I think don't be shy to talk to a monk. Maybe at the beginning, not knowing who the monk is, or maybe the monk not knowing who you are, there's not a comfort zone. But once you create this comfort zone through the conversation, you are going to enjoy the presence of the monks, and then it's going to help you ask more questions, know more Dhamma. So is there any final word from anyone before we end this program?
Yeah, I would, on that same subject, a monk can give examples of people ask questions about emotional questions or other things. Monks have a life, right? I mean, we've lived many years. We have a lot of personal experience. So people like that, to hear personal experiences from a person, or we can quote experiences maybe we had with other people. We have a vast more direct personal knowledge than just a robot would, even though they might be able to quote and access certain experiences. But having that, coming from a person, I went through that myself, and I had this problem. So people, I think they would miss that kind of personal touch with the robot.
That's very powerful, Bhante. Thank you. All right, so we have come to the end of the program. So now I know Bhante Uparatana. He always comes and gives his presence, gracious presence, encouraging us. Although he doesn't like to talk, but he mindfully listens to what we talk about here. So I would respectfully like to invite Bhante Uparatana to recite over the Patimokkha verses.
Thank you so much, Venerable Sirs, and at that time, very good beginning and a good conversation, and wish you all good energy to perform this thing, and we do our moral support, and wish you long life and good health. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sabba papassa akaranang kusalasa upasampada. Sacitta pariyodapanang etam buddhana sasanang. Kanti paramantapo titikka Nibbanam paramang vadanti buddha. Nahi pabjito parupagati samano hoti parang vihetayanto. Anupavado anupagato Patimokkhe ca sangvaro Matanyuta ca bhattasming Pantanca sayanasanang Adicitte ca ayogo Etang buddhana sasanang.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So today we successfully finished the 60th session for more than 2 years, and we all have come together on Zoom platform while discussing Dhamma here. We also gave Facebook and YouTube Live, and it gives me a great joy to see your active participation. Whenever you have time, you come here and share your wisdom with us, and with our people. This is the gift of Dhamma we are giving to the humanity for the greater well-being of everyone. So today we had a very successful discussion, and we, by discussing Dhamma, it was a meditation practice we did, Dhammanupassana. So it was the meditation practice, the reflection that we have done, and that helped us expand our consciousness and purify mind and heart. So with this pure mind and heart, I would like to share the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem with all of you. By the grace and power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha, may all of you continue to be blessed with more happiness, more wisdom, more knowledge, more peace, more enlightenment, more light, more kindness. May Devas, celestial beings, divine beings, continue to protect and guard all the venerable monks and the people who are here in Zoom platform, who watch on Zoom, on YouTube and Facebook Live. May you be blessed with the divine blessings for your health and safety. And Sabbe Satta Bhavantu Sukhitatta. May all sentient beings be well, happy, and peaceful. So thank you, and good night from Canada. I will see you all in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.